Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com on two beams. I realize I haven't done a whole lot of videos inside of the Thief Guilds and Abba's Landing. So this time we're going to talk about Templar updates, the good, the bad, the ugly. A lot of good, some bad, and one really ugly change. But other than that, Templars are in a good spot, and I'm here to tell you the changes and how it relates to you playing your Templar in the future. So we're going to start off with the really good thing about the Templar changes, and that's magic DPS. So my build Omega, which I'm going to go over a lot more in detail. Another Templar that's really powerful is Nifty, who's theory-crafted his build. It's a little different than mine. He uses jabs primarily. But the thing I like now is Dark Flare. Got a 12% damage bonus, and from my testing personally, Dark Flare is outproducing damage of puncturing sweeps. It does cost significantly more, but its range, 28 meters. Both of them have a 1.1 second cast time, but the 12% damage buff leads me to use this over sweeps, giving Templar more range, more casting. Plus, it gives you the major empower the next time. So you can constantly empower your Dark Flares, or what I like to do now in this patch is empower my heavy weaving in and out. And I'll show you in the Omega build in a day or so. So that's really powerful. Also, Blockade of Fire is very, very useful now. Don't even have it leveled up, but I was pulling 27,000 single target damage on the Blood Spawn using Blockade of Fire, Destruction Staff, and Vampire's Bane. Another monster buff. It's about a 12-second dot that does a significant amount of damage up front and over time. So you have some flexibility with the Templar. I like this change. Purifying Light underwent a change as well, which now it can crit, and it stores a lot more damage, making it pretty good. I don't know mathematically what's better right now, Purifying Light or Vampire's Bane. Nifty is on the impression that it's Purifying Light, and he very may well be right. I like using Vampire's Bane because it's ranged, it's instance-based, and you can use Empower using Vampire's Bane to produce a lot of damage up front. And I'm a Dumber on here, so I get a bonus in my race to fire damage. Now, this isn't a best race Templar video, so I'm not going to tell you all about the high elf and what to pick. But just so you know, Dark Flare is hitting harder, Elemental Blockade is working the Destruction Staff skill line, Vampire's Bane got a nice buff, and so did Purifying Light. Another buff is Eclipse. Now this reflects projectiles. It used to be just spells, but let's say you have an annoying bowcaster on you, put an Eclipse on him, he does a lethal arrow to you, shoots it right back in his face. No, this is not as good as a Dragon Knight's Flappers, but it's still very, very useful. So I like the change there. Those are the good things. We're going to get to the bad things. Adric Spear, Crescent Sweep. So this is the bad thing for me, and I'll show you my Templar in a minute, but I wish this had a stamina morph with it. I'm very disappointed this is still one of the most useless skills ultimates in the game. I've tried to make it work. I've tried to make ultimates builds after this using Scoria and Orioneth and seeing if this could work. It's just a DPS loss in and of itself all the way around. So I'm disappointed. I wish this would have a healing debuff, anything, stamina return, go off physical resistance or physical damage just like Take Flight. Nope. It got one more meter range. I think that's not enough to make this a viable skill in the Templar rotation, especially for Templars, which are lacking a specific ultimate within their class skill line. That's why I choose to go Vamp most of the time on my Templar. Okay, Puncturing Sweeps no longer stuns enemies. Now this is good for if you're playing PvP and you don't want to give free CC immunity. So I like that change. It's kind of controversial, but it still does a lot of damage. You have to be close. It has an 8-meter radius and it's AoE. I'm just tired of my AFK puncturing sweeps pressing one button as a Templar build. And for my testing, Dark Flare hits for more, so I've switched it up. Piercing Javelin also got a bump, so this is the unmorphed version. Now it and its morphs will have 28-meter range. This is our primary knockback as a stun. It has a good stamina morph and a good magic morph. So that's nice, making it usable at very, very far range. Blazing Spear had a little bit of nerf back a patch ago, I think. It's still very, very useful. And the other morph of Blazing Shield, Radiant, got 1% more on its damage shield. Don't think that's enough to make this or it's more viable again in PvP. PvE, it's somewhat useful on my stamina-based Templar tank, but not enough really to make a difference. So I'm kind of disappointed in that as well. Okay, so we talked about that. Passives have somewhat stayed the same besides restoring life. So now the bad news for Magic Templars out there, Breath of Life. Healing yourself and a wounded ally. So it used to be you, 2 others, lowest health, so on and so forth. So this is 1 less target. This is a big change. Now, what's my take on it? Well, my favorite role in ESO and group play is a healer, believe it or not. And this affects me directly, whether it's trials, dungeons, and so on and so forth. But I can see the point in doing this is if you have one class that's so strong at healing, none of the other classes can even be comparative. So now, with Breath of Life doing 2 targets instead of basically everyone in your group almost, well, now some other classes might have some ways to heal. The Sorcerer's Pet is very strong healing. You got Igneous Shields, Major Mending, Dragon Knights, which are very good. Nightblade's Funnel Health, that took a seat back, but Nightblades can compete as well. So I can see why they did this. Being a Templar myself, I'm not happy about it, but all you can do is leave your feedback, because remember, these changes aren't final. We're on the PTS, and this might change next week back to what it was. Don't know. Another thing is Healing Ritual. It now has a reduced cast time and heals for less. So they reduced the cast time by 25% and made it heal for 25% less. Why? I don't know. It's clap heal. It used to be pretty good and powerful, but it's AoE, and I would just rather use healing springs in this because it's instant. Repentance still very strong. The other morph got the Major Intellect buff, which is okay, but you get Major Intellect anyways from using a potion. I don't see it being that valuable. The nice thing that changed for healing, and specifically Templar, which I'm going to show you, is Purifying Light. If we go down here, now we get Major Mending while standing in a cleansing ritual. And 4 seconds after leaving. That is a nice change for Templars, because on a Dragon Knight, what I like to use is Igneous Shields, get increased healing, Major Mending, and use my Resolving Vigor. Well, now the Templar can do something like that as well, which is boom. And remember that this is a 12-meter radius or whatever, but you can still get the buff when you leave it for 4 seconds. So on a stamina build, if I need some extra healing, this is going to become very handy. Along with the increased range for Piercing Javelin. I like that. So let me show you the difference between healing myself on a Templar with this change and not. Okay, we're on the good old Templar Steve Jabs, and I'm going to go kill some stuff and take some damage and talk about the change. If you hear that proc, that is my Briarheart set that we tested out earlier. And so I'm still doing good damage. Not a lot has changed in that for stamina. Obviously, dual wield, the good old spin to win, 9-meter radius. So that's going to hurt stamina builds, especially in PvP. You know I love to spam that. Okay, but the real change here I wanted to show you, and what I'm excited about Templar-wise, is the healing. So like I said, Purifying Ritual gives you Major Mending. So honestly, it gives you about 1,000 on a crit. I have 47 points into Quick Recovery. And if you have Rally running along with this, that's a decent amount of self-healing over time. So if you go outside of the ritual, you get 4 seconds of that bonus as well. So let's go ahead and cast Vigor before we get in the ritual. 4.4k crits, 2.5 non-crit. So now if I lay the ritual down, 5.5 crits, and it's still crit. Whoa, holy crit, Batman. Hey, fine, 5.5k. I wish that would happen in PvP. So it's very powerful now, kind of like the Dragon Igneous Shields into Vigor. So you're going to do this into Vigor. And remember that it's mobile now. So if I lay this down and continue moving, I was running out of it, I still get 4 seconds. Guess how long Vigor lasts? Well, 5 seconds. So basically you're going to cast this to cleanse yourself, boom, Vigor, rally up, and your healing is good to go. So I'm excited about that. Another thing, if you're a Templar tank, like I was trying to do earlier, Radiant Ward, the 1%, not making it super helpful, but it is an improvement. And then also Restoring Focus got buffed. Now, along with Healing Received, you receive 8% less damage. That is significant. So if you were doing a Stamina tank or the Templar tank in general, 8% more healing received and 8% damage reduction. Also, guess what? The thing is really small. I know I hate it that it's so small, but you still get the bonus 8 seconds after you leave the room. So if you wanted to, you could drop this down, drop Purifying Ritual down, and do some self-heals. Now you got 8% more self-heals on top of it. Is it worth speccing into like this? I don't know. But it leaves me a little bit excited about this Templar since it is better self-healing. I am liking that change. But overall, Templar is still strong. As far as my Templar, it's still going to be strong. PvE is going to lose a lot of AoE DPS. Single target's still pretty good. Sustains is not where it needs to be. And I think if they change it, sweeps, maybe Crescent, to make a stamina-based sweep, AoE in front of you, similar to like the Take Flight Dragon Knight, I would really love this change. But I just don't see it happening. As far as Magic Templars go, I think they would be one of the strongest in PvE DPS, especially with the new trial. Their sustain's looking great. Their range is looking great. Healing is the one downside of this patch is for Templars. You still will be a beast healer, so don't go crazy and overreact. You can still use Purifying Ritual, and Healing brings the crap out of stuff. But if you like the Templar, I think there's going to make some great strides in magic DPS, specifically Dark Flare, Vampire's Bane, Elemental Blockade. So if I can pull 27,000 single target DPS, you guys can too. So stay tuned. I will have a mega build coming out in the next couple days. I want to finish up polishing some stuff, testing out Rhinoth versus Scorias, testing out Molag Kina, Julianos versus Twiceborn, seeing what pulls the most damage, and Nifty already has some good information out if you like magic DPS. My Templar, I'm using Briarheart Hunting's Rage, and I'm going to try probably a no-death Templar run after the change with the healing to Purifying Ritual. See if that could push me over the edge to complete it with no-death at Maelstrom. Thank you for watching, and we got one more class of Sorcerer next. And guess what? Sorks, the best healers in the game now? Stay tuned and find out. See you tomorrow.